right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Brandon Walker. I am in charge of media over here at Bosco Esports. And this is going to be our first kind of interview stream. Today we have a very special guest. This is, how do you say your last name?
Giangualano. But
Giangualano.
it's Elijah Giangualano. But most people that have seen me around the lab know me by Carbon.
Know you by Carbon, yeah.
Or just Coach.
And so you've been kind of in here with this Bosco stuff for a while now and even gone over to coach college now. So, I mean, how long have you been involved here in like esports?
Well, you mean like here at Bosco or just like
Just
esports
in general, esports in general.
Well, I mean, esports to me has gone back basically as far as my childhood. So I'd want to say since I was, I don't know, like 12. Yeah. I've kind of like had an interest in like the high competitive side of esports and just gaming since I was very, very, very young. So yeah, I'd say about that
Yeah.
long.
What about just at Bosco here alone?
So at Bosco specifically, I've been part of the esports like area since about sophomore year, I believe. And at that time, we didn't even have like this lab or any room really with a bunch of PCs in it. At the time, actually, the area we used was the computer lab, which is in the 300 building.
Yeah, heard about that.
And also at that time, the only game that we really ran was League of Legends. And I was on the originally the Frost Shop team, and then I got brought up to the JV team. But yeah, and then basically ever since that, I was just doing something else. After that, I did Fortnite my junior year here, and did really well with that. Senior year, I did Fortnite again, and that was when Valorant just started up.
Yeah. And Valorant's your main game now, right?
Valorant is by far my main game. Yeah.
So,
Been sticking with it ever since I left Fortnite, which was a very good decision.
yeah. Stick with that. All right. Well, what got you into esports like in the beginning? Like was there anything specific or was it just
Yeah.
an interest?
So without a doubt, the answer to that question is my dad. I mean, everyone will know my dad as Coach Gabe or Gabe Giangualano. I mean, yeah, Grim.
Yeah.
Who is the director of esports and been at it all this time. But I mean, to me, a lot of parents, or I hear like a lot of kids talk about how their parents don't really like that they play games or like that they don't know like the benefit of playing games or like the long-term goal. But my dad actually has kind of been like an advocate and a supporter of just playing games and like having fun and stuff. And since I was 12, basically, and much younger than that as well. But I'd watch my dad play a higher competitive game in World of Warcraft than I mean was really like fathomable. And I'd watch like friends like play video games and they'd kind of just like take it for fun. But then me watching my dad do that and also me playing soccer as a kid kind of just fuel my drive for competitive gaming.
Yeah, so it's a very different thing from just like playing with your friends. You know, you've been in team sports for a lot of your life and very competitive. And how would you say that like esports itself is different from just like playing the game for fun with just on your own?
So it's really night and day. I want to say there's a lot of I mean there's I don't think I can say this enough times, but many parents have a bunch of misconceptions about esports, about how they think that their kid is coming here to just play games, to just like play games, have fun, just mess around. When at the end of the day, it really is the difference between playing like a club sport and playing on the playground.
Yeah, like recess soccer
Recess
versus
playing
a CIF
soccer.
sport
Yeah,
for your school.
yeah. The difference really is the level of play that is unmatched to how it is in just random queues online.
Yeah. And you used to coach here, you
Mm-hmm.
used to play here, and then you
Mm-hmm.
coached here, and then
Mm-hmm.
now you're coaching at Long Beach City College. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So that started this past year, this past semester. Basically, right after nationals, where Valorant, varsity Valorant here,
Mm-hmm.
won nationals. Almost immediately, I was offered and kind of made that decision, that I wanted to coach collegiately.
Mm-hmm.
And what really helped me with that was winning nationals, was
Yeah.
seeing that there is another level to like play that is like out there, that I don't think I could reach coaching here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I will be honest, the Valorant team here, it wasn't really competitive for them.
Mm-hmm.
They really were just like
Yeah.
whopping through all the teams,
Yeah. We had a
and
very
yeah,
talented team
they're
individually.
unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
Which leaves a lot less work for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like some coaches might they're like, yay, I don't need to do that much, but I want I want this to be my career, so
Yeah.
I wanted to move to the next step so that I could work harder, which is where that decision came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you mentioned winning nationals here, and you're a pretty decorated
Yeah,
player and coach here, right? You
yeah.
have
So
trophies
I've
of your own for Fortnite and stuff and Valorant, and then we actually have your nationals
yeah.
winning trophy right here for Valorant. This was when we took the varsity team to Kansas City, right?
Kansas City, yeah.
For nationals, and then you ended up winning that tournament. That was a really big statement. How like what I mean, how was that experience? That whole experience, like going,
Wow.
playing through. I think you guys had a perfect 16-0 season that whole time,
Yeah,
and then going in person to Kansas City, traveling to play in an in-person tournament for a title. Like, how was that?
that was, I want to say, the most fun I've ever had as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
or even really in esports. Period.
Yeah.
Being able to actually go throughout the entire season, 16-0, like you said, not losing a single map, not losing a single match, not nothing, and having like that accomplishment, and then obviously earning our spot in
Mm-hmm.
nationals, and then going there, taking the flight, flying to Kansas City, which I don't do much. I don't really travel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but flying there for an esports national
Yeah, a
tournament,
high school
a
esports
high
national
school esport,
tournament.
was really like an eye-opening experience, that like
This is
that
real.
this is
Yeah,
real. This
this
is
is
a
real.
thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
like happening. And then also going to nationals and not dropping a single map against all the other national teams
Mm-hmm.
until the final grand final game, where we dropped one,
Yeah.
was absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's extremely impressive. And even though you haven't coached here at Bosco this season, we know
Mm.
that the varsity team is still going to nationals again this year. So
Yeah.
hopefully they can pull out there. But like you mentioned that the team is very talented individually, but like what goes into from a coach's perspective, like what goes into coaching a team for a Valorant team or just any esports team?
So there's, I mean, there's different levels of work, and it really depends on the game in question.
Mm-hmm.
But for Valorant specifically, um, I daily watch like professional VODs, or even like semi-professional VODs,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I can. And I make it like a mission to watch two minimum, daily. And then if I do, I update myself on any videos or any other big analyst names out there. And I just try and like take in as much information as possible, which really helps with when I explain things to my players and stuff, because I make sure that I understand it as much as I possibly can, so that I can explain it to my players as simply as possible. Because that's another thing that I've found, is, with the amount of work that like I put into coaching and stuff like that, um, sometimes those things can get really complicated for the players because they got to focus on their own gameplay and their own aim and so many other different aspects of the game that I have to like break it down and try and simplify it as much as possible for my players. But yeah, for me specifically, it's 2 VODs a day of professional or semi-professional time in game alone, finding new things, new lineups, new ways to use abilities and stuff like that, and finding stuff to do. That really is like the thing. Finding something to do when I have free time is really just the drive.
Just being a student of the game and really learning.
Yeah.
So you can be a better coach. Yeah. And so you've played at the high school and college level. You've also coached now at the high school and college level. What's the kind of difference that you would see? Like, how is these college esports teams different from high school?
A simple statement is it's so much harder. I think Bosco might be a slight exception because we have such talented players that they are just allowed to destroy other teams. But I haven't really experienced that really in the high school scene, so maybe I'm biased. But from what I've seen in the high school scene, some players still don't understand like the level of play that they're trying to play at. But in the college scene, I feel like every single player that represents their school understands what the next step is, like understands what their goal is. And it's always to qualify for this or qualify for that or beat this team so that you can make it here. And they all take it so much more seriously than I think a high schooler is able to realize, which is really, really, it's really invigorating, I'll say, because, I mean, like you said, moving from like that sort of easy high school area and going into college and realizing, okay, this team puts in work like really hard on this, so let's counter it this way. Or this team is really good at this specific composition, so let's try and work around that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone has their own little thing. Meanwhile, in high school, it's kind of just like 5 guys just playing together.
Yeah, you just have a team you play against.
You just have a team.
You could say college, you have videos that you could watch about other teams, the players and how they play. There's like Riot Games hosted tournaments.
Right.
So I think the scene for college is a lot bigger as well. So of course the competition is going to be there too.
Most definitely. And then there's even colleges right now that are like officially making it into the tier 2 challengers scene.
Yeah. Is that Winthrop?
Yeah, it's Winthrop. And then I think last season there was one that made it, but like didn't take it all the way. But it really is crazy seeing that like college is like right there with the tier 2 scene. Like there isn't a lot of like barrier in between those. Like any college, I could say probably could take it up to any like open division tier 2 team.
Yeah, and then even like you would hear with like Cloud9, they signed I think 2 college players for one of their tournaments.
Right.
So college is definitely becoming a real thing
that's actually something I want to touch on. Last season, Cloud9 was the best team in all of Americas. Sadly, they didn't make it to any international tournaments due to, I don't know, like falling apart kind of.
Yeah.
But they did that just after getting rid of like a god tier roster and picking up 3 guys and 2 college players.
Yeah.
And they were just destroying teams. They were the biggest name. And that cool thing was like, holy cow, they just like picked up 2 college players and these college guys are absolutely destroying other teams.
Yeah. And
it's because of the players. It's not like they're on a team.
Yeah, they're not on a super team. Like they're pulling their weight.
They are pulling their weight and
well.
they're sticking it to these actual professional players.
All right, now what do you think makes this Bosco Esports program different from other ones? Like I know you haven't really coached at other ones other than maybe Long Beach City College.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think would make us different? Why do you think we win? Why do you think we have, anything?
So I've had the privilege of talking to other coaches with other high schools and even like at Kansas City, where I was able to
Mm-hmm.
talk to other coaches around the nation. Um, their setups and their facilities and their areas that they play and the times that they put in and so much. It's basically every single aspect that you can have in an esports
Mm-hmm.
organization. Bosco excels at.
Yeah.
If it's space, if it's number of PCs, if it's Wi-Fi speed,
Mm-hmm.
if it's number of people in the organization, if
Yeah.
it's number of teams, if it's number of like good players, if it's like numbers of days that you train, it's like every single aspect of it. Bosco excels at.
Yeah. I mean, you could see. I mean, we have our stage in the background that
Yeah.
you could see, and I mean, we've had. I think Bosco. We've held the Grim Cup, which was an
Hmm.
in-person showcase for colleges and high schools. That was a super big success, and we have the facility here to really like bring high school players and then get them to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is proven with the LBCC team that I'm coaching currently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sean Torres, one of the players that was on that national winning team, won nationals, and I made that decision to coach at LBCC, and I said, "Yo, I'm coaching at LBCC. You're graduating right now. Just come with me,
Mm-hmm.
and join us at LBCC." And I mean, you're on that team. I mean, I
I
don't know
am
if
on
that's
that
something
team.
I want to put out there, but I mean, Sean Torres is one of the biggest like playmakers on that team,
Mm-hmm.
and he just came out of high school. He just graduated, and he's
Yeah.
like
Came
the
straight from Bosco.
came straight from Bosco. That is a path that is proven.
Mm-hmm. And then also other players on, we have Kason Haraz and
Right,
Matthew Parsons both also played here in high school.
all Bosco players.
And I mean, the LBCC team, they do pretty well themselves.
Yeah, they made it all the way to regional champs, and then qualified for their Legends Division promotion. We didn't make it, but I mean that's because there are other great colleges out
Mm-hmm.
there. But I mean, Long Beach City College is not a small name just because we're a city college.
Yeah.
We are taking down the big guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talking more about college and kind of that like pathway straight into college,
Mm.
do you have any advice for some players that are hoping to get to that next level and play in college who are maybe in high school right now and are definitely looking at continuing their play in college?
So my biggest recommendation to um, high school kids that are either like on a team, like if their high school has a team,
Mm-hmm.
then my first recommendation is to join a team. Period, um, because that kind of grows just your team dynamic, which is something that all colleges will look at.
Mm-hmm.
If in your resume for a college team says, "Hey, I've played 2 years on a college team," everyone is just like, "Oh, let's pick up that guy because he has
Yeah.
experience."
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is if your college doesn't have a team, um, I recommend either a looking for teams online to join, even like not like obviously official teams, but
Mm-hmm.
just like getting together with friends, doing premiere
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and actually being active in trying to do team play is the main thing.
Yeah.
And lastly, when you're playing your own competitive games, play to the best of your ability 24/7 while communicating to your team, and you're basically training yourself for team play.
Yeah.
That's something that I think a lot of players in the game, just in general, not even specifically high schoolers, just don't like realize that like they're like trying to like make it onto other teams, or like they want to and they like this big like
Mm-hmm.
higher level of play, but they don't understand like, oh, teams don't want me if I don't communicate. Teams don't want me if I don't know how to play multiple agents. Teams don't want me if there's so many things that go into what like coaches look for
Mm-hmm.
in a player.
Yeah. And then going on to that, like, what are some things that you as a coach would look for in
Oh yeah.
players?
Specifically, I mean, it really depends on the role
Mm-hmm.
that I'm looking for. Um, but good traits in general is I mean, consistent aim.
Yeah, I think good
That
mechanics should just
good
be a
mechanics
baseline.
is a good baseline for everyone. Because I mean, the other things, which is communication, game sense, utility usage, activeness and awareness,
Mm-hmm.
are just like a bunch of things that will easily help you put you onto that plane,
Yeah.
but they all go out the window if you don't have good
Yeah,
mechanics.
I mean, at the bottom line, when you're at these high levels, everyone has good aim, everyone has good mechanics. So those things are the things that really make a difference
Yeah.
in what makes these players or a team successful or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are some like skills that you have now that you attribute to esports or coaching, playing, any of that?
Um, I think the biggest one would be analysis. Um, Going into esports, and coaching and all that, I took a lot of time to process what I needed to do and what needed to be broken down for a player to improve, and that made me realize that analysis of either a specific player or even the team or even like other teams,
Mm-hmm.
is just a trait that is a must have
Yeah,
if you're a coach. Period.
yeah,
Um, which really improved my skills as a player as
mm-hmm.
well. Um, I think analysis is a trait in all sports that I think all players and coaches should try to develop even after they make it to their
Mm-hmm.
desired goal.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that that's probably one of the biggest traits.
yeah. All right, and I mean, that's pretty much all the questions that I have for you now. I mean, is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything you'd like to say? Any message you want to put out there?
Um, I think one message I want to put out there is, for those high schoolers or those players that are really wanting to make it to that next player level and don't know whether or not they should try it. Just try it.
Just
Just
go
do
for
it.
it.
Just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun. There's no downside. I want to say, like, I haven't found a downside yet.
Yeah.
Um, it's a level of play that gets addicting,
Mm-hmm.
and which is really what got me into coaching. Which is like, after I started playing it, I was like, how do I stay in this?
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
I realized I'm not good enough to play. Then I'll coach. Then I'll do
Mm-hmm.
this. I'll do as much as I can, and it really does get addicting. So I recommend everyone that wants to make it to that next level, try it. Just do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, and then one more thing is, do you think there's anything that you would say to the parents who are maybe on the fence about letting their kid
Mm.
do something like esports? Like, I know it doesn't have the best rep of, sitting inside playing
Yeah.
video games all day on your own. But I mean, as you
Yeah.
can even see here, we have all of our setups, all of our players play next to each other. And I mean, is there any encouragement you could give to these parents?
So my encouragement to the parents is to take a look at our program, um, and understand that we are not allowing the players to just play. We give them a time and a space, to get their play out, to get their analytics out, to get their practice out, and after that they go back home. Whatever they do at home,
Mm-hmm.
not under our watch. But here at Bosco, we try our hardest to develop players that will make it to that next level, and if they aren't in that scene, then we make them. We make these players
Mm-hmm.
understand just how good this could be for them.
Yeah.
Because one big thing that a lot of these players and a lot of these kids have in common is that they don't have some sport, or they don't have
Mm-hmm.
some clique that they're into, that they don't have a lot of friends at school or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've met so many people through esports, um, that have gotten more friendly and
Mm-hmm.
gone out of their bubble
Yeah.
and stuff like that, just because they have a space that they can do
Yeah.
that. And even if they're not good at the game, you give them a space
Mm-hmm.
to be comfortable with more people, which is just something that a parent should want for
Yeah.
their kid.
I mean, it's like providing that kind of team sport experience, and
Yeah.
like you don't have to. The good thing about esports is you don't have to be the most physically the
Yeah.
strongest or the fastest or anything. Like anyone really can get into it if they put the time in. And yeah, I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, and we will see you guys next time.